concerned, I find that we have one thing in common, that is our first name happens to be 4-letter word. 3 letters are common. Is that last letter makes the difference. But he is a tremendous man, and I am very glad to associate with him always, and I think the people of India must say they will always be with him and become little more vocal so that democracy will have more strength. Talking about the budget, main talk is his. I have only few observations. One is that I think again people must become vocal to this new gimmick which government does. Just on the eve of budget, they go and pass an order and hike up prices of various commodities. I think this is absolutely unethical. This is ruining the principles of the budgetary system which we have adopted. They constantly keep on saying, and then comes the people in the parliament and keep on giving you such a pleasant talk as if they are most concerned about the common man, and they have already fixed him 15 days before the budget, and on the budget day they feel that they can fool all the people all the time. And I wish this can be stopped, and that can only be stopped by the people of India, that they must take budget as a one identity. Second thing which I find, that they have failed miserably in not giving enough importance to family planning. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are all students of economics, if you all believe in the prosperity of the country, a country where 50,000 babies are added a day, how can government be silent and not be bothered about this family planning? I think the allocation should have been far more. I personally think that allocation, you should get the same allocation as the defense budget, because then only this country has a hope, or the world has a hope. I think this is one aspect which I cannot understand, why politicians are feeling shy of them. I am told that most of them themselves at home don't believe in family planning. Maybe that's why it's difficult to preach what they themselves don't practice. But this is the second aspect. And the third aspect was that the government expenditure, they keep on saying we are going to control it. Please understand, when I'm talking about government expenditure, I'm not talking about holiday expenses. We will not talk about that. But I'm talking in general expenditure. In this country, we have never bothered to worry about bringing down the government expenditure. The amount of wasteful expenditure, if that can be done, it would be some kind of a good account the government can give to themselves. I could keep on speaking about it, but we have the main speaker. I have only one concrete suggestion to make to the rulers of this country, that in a democracy, one thing is permitted, that when you are running a state, the head of the state has a right to induct few technocrats in his own cabinet and give portfolios which are suitable to them. You can't have a man deciding the educational policy of this country when he is an undergraduate of Allahabad University. How can you expect him to guide your educational system of this country? In the same manner, when you talk about economics, and I must make one observation, I am told that various schools lay a stress on various parts of the curriculum, but the Doon school does not have any stress on economics. In fact, they don't teach economics at all. Now, I'm trying to explain is that this is the kind of a thinking. So why should we not get experts into a field which he is most able for? And I would suggest to our beloved Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, that from next year onwards, if he wants his economy to shape up so well that he can will not only next election but 10 next election, he should perhaps take an eminent person like Nani Palkhiwala as the finance minister of this country. In case he accepts my suggestion, ladies and gentlemen, very shortly, next year onwards perhaps, we will be coming to listen to Nani Palkhiwala not as an analyst of the budget, but to tell us what the budget is. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure. It's a pleasure for me to be associated with it. We are always with the forum, and with this, I would only say that as long as forum lasts, democracy will last, and as long there is democracy, our faith in democracy will go up, as long as people like Nani Palkhiwal are there. So I give you Nani Palkhiwal.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am most grateful to the first two speakers for their most generous words about me. Mr. Nana Chodasama has made some concrete suggestions, which I would certainly agree with, except one. And the suggestions he has made about family planning and the type of caliber we want in the cabinet are really worthwhile, excluding, as I said, just one suggestion. This is the 41st budget of Free India. And perhaps you would not be averse to spending, say, about 5 minutes looking at what we have done over the 40 budgets which have been relegated to history. What has been the sum total of them? How far has this nation progressed? I would like the facts to be known and publicly known, because I am afraid if you read the budget speech, you have a totally different idea from what the reality is. India became free in 1947. We had tremendous advantages. We had, thanks to the accident of British rule, a unified nationality, a single head of state, a central government, a central judiciary, a common currency, and the whole country as one could look forward to a glorious future. About our civilization, Mr. Advani has told you how it goes back 5,000 years. The concepts of eternity, infinity were evolved in this country. But go back only to the year, say, 5th century to the 14th century, when the Dark Ages brooded over the whole of Europe. This country had at that time its golden age. The Arabic numerals were conceived here. Afterwards they were taken by the Arabs, so that's why they are called Arabic. But all scholars are agreed that the root, the birth of the Arabic numerals was in India. We evolved the concept of pi, the ratio between the diameter and the circumference of a circle, 3.1416. We evolved quadratic equations, square root, cube root. People wrote theses pointing out how the earth rotates on its axis and revolves around the earth. These were achievements because they came 1,000 years before Galileo was born, Kepler was born, Isaac Newton flourished in England. This was the caliber of this country. There was a creativity which we thought in 1947 would once again make this country what it was centuries before. In 1947, when we became a republic, we were soon followed by South Korea, which became a republic in 1948. Now I would like you to just cast a glance at what South Korea has done and what India has done. And then you can decide for yourself whether we deserve to be complimented so heavily as we are complimented by our politicians on our wonderful progress, tremendous growth, etc. In fact, if you know the conditions in the outside world, it would bring tears to your eyes to consider what's the state of this country. People like Dr. Hiranandani, who have been to Pakistan recently, tell us that there are no beggars in Pakistan, there are no people who are homeless, without clothes in Pakistan. In other words, the standard of living is undoubtedly higher. Their per capita income is $390 per annum, ours is $270 per annum. That's about 2/3 of what it is there. South Korea had a war to deal with. The war, as you know, went on from 51 to 53. After 53, South Korea, which was the less rich part of the whole of Korea, North Korea was much more affluent, has multiplied its economy 30 times. That means the rate of growth of the economy is 3,000%. Our rate of growth in real terms, I'm talking of Korea also in real terms, so the comparison is even. Our rate of growth in real terms has been 71% in per capita income. Not the gross national product, but in per capita income, 71% of what it was in 1950. We are today the 17th poorest nation on earth. We used to be the 15th poorest, then we have come up 2 places. And this, to my mind, for a country of the intelligence, the enterprise of India, is a matter for absolute shame, not for any self-congratulations. But ignorance is so vast, and our poor people, trusting as they are, can be so easily fooled by politicians that they are made to believe that here is a country which, as a result of governmental policies, has made enormous progress. We have today 15% of the world's population, thanks to what Nana rightly called the dragging feet of the government in family planning. We have more than 15% of the world's population, and we have less than 1.5% of the world's income. Let me give you one other statistic. Come closer to our own times, 1965. We were still in 65, the second largest economy of a developing country, next only to China. At that time, Brazil and Mexico both had less than half the size of the Indian economy, less than half. Today, in 1987, their economies have far outstripped Indian economy. Do you think they are any cleverer, any more enterprising than Indians are? But it only shows you what the economic policy of the government can do to a nation's future. And when the finance minister says that our socialism is our own, we have not borrowed it from anybody, I totally believe him. I don't think there is a country in the world which would like to take the odium of having to say that, yes, we imported our socialism to India and we are responsible for the consequences. And our socialism is again the only product which we can never export to any other country of the world, because nobody would touch it with a pair of tongs. This has been the result of years of socialism. And still, I'm sorry to find in the budget, again a reference to our socialism, what damage it has done to this country's economy. It's all right for people like you and me, who are, by God's grace, reasonably well placed, to live our happy lives, but look at the millions and millions who will never have a brighter tomorrow, so long as our obsession with socialism continues. The Economist said recently that socialism was born in Europe and it has almost died in Europe. There is not a country in the world today which follows the type of socialism which we do.